quick little podcast, so welcome to Talk Tennis. We've got Dennis from Head and Chris joining. We just hit some rackets with Dennis. Fun times.
It was a really fun hit. We can't talk about it.
Yeah,
No,
we can't
exactly,
talk about
exactly.
anything that we hit.
It's the perfect topic
we
for a
signed
podcast.
NDAs before we got here. But today we're going to talk all things Head product. We're going to talk about some rackets. We're going to talk about some strings. And I actually have a question before we get started, Dennis. I am in my journey to find my new setup. I don't know what I'm going to switch to. What would you recommend for me?
Wow, that's a tough one. So anything you want to switch up, or you just want to stay just a new kind
I
of
keep saying I want it to be a little bit easier, but I still want stability. I want the plow through, and I still want to pretend like I'm working hard.
Okay, then I probably would think that the Gravity Tour would help you a lot. Going with maybe even a hybrid setup of maybe Lynx Spin Square,
Okay.
or even hybrid thing as some of our pros do, like Lynx Tour and Hawk, which is also an interesting. It's pretty stiff, and I know you like the tighter tension and the stiffer feel.
Yeah.
So I think that combo could be really nice.
I'm on the Rublev train too, so anything with that gravity paint job and then mashing the ball. Okay, I'm gonna have to try it when we get back to slow.
And you will love the sound of the new Gravities, I'm sure.
I do like the sound.
That is a really nice racket, the Gravity Tour. It's my pick out of the Gravities, and I love the sound. It makes it impact. It's got just enough pop to help you get the ball away, but it's really all about that control and feel. I feel like I can really place the ball well with it. It's a bit softer than the rackets you typically gravitate towards, but it's got a really nice plush feel.
Yeah, so I think playing around with the string would help with that, a little firmer string bed feel that I like.
Absolutely. I mean, right now I think we have the racket here on the table with Hawk Power, which makes it even slightly softer in terms of the impact feel and the launch angle and stuff. So I think you definitely would need a slightly stiffer string in it.
And then, go ahead.
Beautiful cosmetic.
The cosmetic is beautiful, especially out here in the desert. Look at that shine, that gloss. It looks beautiful. I was just going to say we got to work a little bit with a Head sponsored player today in the string room, and I wanted to ask real quick about the Radicals. She swings one of these Radical MPs and really loves it. And it sounds like the playtest team is really vibing on this new Radical MP. Maybe you can talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean the lineup of the Radical is the Pro, the MP, then we got the Team and the Team L. And the MP was really our focus also in the development. So we wanted to have the impact feel improved, the sound to be improved. And from what we hear so far from independent testers is really that we made it work. So I'm pretty happy about it. The cosmetic was a bit controversial internally as well, because it's very bold. It's a statement. But the feedback we are getting, and we heard it from Louisa this morning when we met her in the stringing room, she really loves the paint job. So it's doing really well. We have been sponsoring the Desert Smash event yesterday, and people were all testing this racket, and it looked great on the courts when you saw all the orange frames.
I mean, it's a Radical. It should look Radical.
Yeah.
I mean, the old Radicals did. They really stood out on the court, and I think you've captured that here.
Yes, and that's what the feedback was, that the previous colorways and everything, they were strong, but we kind of got the critique of go a little bit more bold, more orange, more radical.
I think I would throw a black overgrip on it, but apart from that, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I know. Well, what if we put Lynx Tour Orange in here? Has anyone tried that?
We tried it actually.
Too much, or?
Yeah, so for example, in Europe actually, it's very common that retailers also order pre-strung rackets. So we always need to make a decision what we put in the factory onto the racket. And we actually tried the Lynx Tour Black or the Lynx Tour Orange. With Lynx Tour Orange, it's even a stronger statement and maybe a little bit too much in there.
Have you had any of your Head team players switch into new frames in the last year or so?
Yeah, what we see is, and I think everyone hears it, that the whole ball discussion that's going on the WTA and also on the ATP Tour, and the surfaces, and I think we just felt it here on the court as well, that it really became slow. So even the courts. So the players are looking for that extra a little bit more, and in the past they tried to dial in through either using hybrid strings with natural gut or going down in tension, but now they are more open, more curious to really try new setups and new specs and different frames.
And what's the main thing they're looking for? Is it a little bit more pop? Is that what they're
Yeah,
chasing?
a little bit that easier pop out of the like, defense, and like when they're really on the stretch, so that the ball doesn't, as we call it, like die in terms of flying. So that's what they are really looking for. And we obviously have the right setup with our pro player team, so they are working intensively with these guys to really get the perfect setup.
And then I've been talking to a lot of players this week, and they're slowly starting to convince me. It sounds like swing weights are going way down. Everyone wants a fast swinging racket that can keep up with the fast game. Are you seeing the same thing, and is that happening on this head side of things?
We are actually running every year. We're kind of running analysis of like the top 100, top 200, where the trends are going, also from age groups and stuff. And we clearly see like a tendency of the younger players with, let's say, lower static weight, more moderate balance, and also slightly lower swing weight. So like really, like these guys are hitting so fast, such a fast swing speed, and this kind of combination helps them a lot. And we are trying, this is where like you can compare with Formula One, when the car companies go into Formula One and engineering and stuff. We try to learn from this as well. So we did some tweaks also in the Gravity lineup. So the Gravity Pro has a lower balance to make it easier to handle. And also like our team models and the lighter weight models, we're trying to dial down the balance so that people can maneuver it much better, much easier.
So a club player, if they get into a racket that's maybe a little bit lighter and faster, what are some of the benefits they can expect, and maybe what is something they might lose from the heavier racket?
It's that maneuverability that they get from the lighter racket, because you just have less weight. What you usually lose, and this is kind of the tough one for the engineers, because we need to keep the racket stable, right? Like an impact. You don't want to have them wobbling. So also one of those things when people are struggling with tennis elbow, they tend to go to lighter frames, which if the racket is not stable, it actually is counterproductive. So even sometimes I have made the experience, low balance, heavier rackets help against the tennis elbow much better because they are more stable, you get more substance.
That makes sense. Let's transition a little bit into some strings. I think we have a cool string that we can talk about, maybe something new.
Yep.
Something with PET. I don't know the whole technology, so you're gonna have to explain it to me.
Yeah, I think a couple years ago, when like Chris, myself, and a couple other guys out of your team, we sat down and we were thinking of like what can we do like as a kind of an exclusive string for you guys that is not yet in the market from a playability standpoint, and we came up with this idea of like a shaped main string and a round cross string, different gauges. And we ended up calling it Link Spin Square. And
different stiffnesses too between the two strings.
Correct,
yeah.
Totally different construction as well, yeah. And now that we are looking for like a more environmental friendly production way, and like we were talking about doing an additional colorway, let's say more dialed down, because the blue and the orange was also very bold and a statement. So we were thinking like, why don't we try to make this the first, let's say, string that moves from virgin material into an rPET material but stays the same name, because that doesn't exist right now. And so now we're going to be launching together with you guys the Link Spin Square rPET in a black and anthracite colorway, so very popular colorway and works on all the rackets. And yeah, it's actually a big thing to make this happen. So it's not just you switch the material and you get the same string. We needed to work with different colors, and we needed to work with different raw materials. And thanks to you guys with the testing team, I think we went through 10 or 12 prototypes in different ways to make it really play the same way.
Yeah, the playability is there for sure, and we hit different colors, different versions of the string. It was a fun play test, and I think now you can transition out of the current one, which is kind of phasing out, into this new one, and without missing a beat in it. But it is a different color.
Yeah.
And you work a lot with the bag line, and you've brought those recycled materials into the bag line. So how did you kind of come up with this idea of doing it with strings?
Well, I think like we are looking a lot into the environmental friendliness of our product. So like the everything people talk about, the carbon footprint, the logistics and everything. And on the strings, it's obviously kind of plastic, if you want to call it, like the PET material.
Right.
And this is available as recycled raw material. It's not as easy as it sounds, so you can't take just a water bottle and just do a string out of it because of the string-style needs of a string with the loops on the frame and stuff. And so that's why a lot goes into it, and I think every company kind of tries it right now, but we took a little bit longer, but I think we nailed it with this one, and also with the Radical there will be a Hawk Tour RPET coming along the way. So this will be our 2 RPET strings.
Nice.
And yeah.
You guys are also the official stringer here at the BNP Paribas Open,
Yes.
and I know it's a busy time for your team. How's it going in the stringing room?
It's actually crazy, to be honest with you, because what we see truly is a tendency that players, and it's a good development overall, they are doing way more restrings than they have done in the past, on the women's and on the men's side. And I strongly believe that it's the right thing to do. It will prevent injuries also for those pros that hit always in the sweet spot, but still, like having a freshly strung racket, getting used to it is always better. That means more stringers, more machines, but the room didn't grow. so it's pretty tight actually, it's pretty tight. But the guys are doing a phenomenal job. I mean, if you think about it, 14 to 16 hours per day, 14, 15 days straight, and always consistent quality. And yeah, you can't give enough credit to those guys.
And certain players have their favorite stringers in there, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. By the time you try to build like a team where like they string on multiple tournaments, they are on different brand teams as well, which is fine. But this way, like the players get to know them, it builds trust immediately. If they walk into a stringing room and they see their guy and they're like, yeah, can we do this? And we always try to maintain that, obviously.
And then for the recreational player, how does hearing that the pros are restringing more play into, like, how often should I be restringing?
Yeah, I mean, you with the tight tension, I think you should even restring more often.
I'm trying to bring it down.
No, I think it's, I mean, everyone tries to come up with this rule of thumb, right? Like, so the hours you play per week, you should at least restring per year your racket. And I think this is a good way to look at it. I think investing more into restringing than into your doctor's appointments or into bracelets for your elbow, shoulder, or whatever is a better way to go.
Now, when you're developing strings, are you trying them at many different tensions? Are you leaving that up to the play testers and kind of their own preference, or you?
Now, we're actually trying, like what we try is, so we have a standardized racket that everyone needs to test on a standardized tension so that we can let's get a more neutral feedback when we really judge. And then we do the same where every tester brings their individual racket and uses their individual tension. And then we try to combine the feedback and see where it takes us. Because it's quite important to test, like on a Prestige Pro with 1820, to test a string on 50 pounds is different than whatever on an Extreme MP with 58 pounds. And so you need to get that kind of feedback, yes.
We do similar way. We start at 52. And it's kind of
Up or down.
yeah. Michelle wants always to go tighter. You know, Troy and I are always looking to go lower. But 52 kind of sets us with a good base. You know, we're right there in the middle, and then we adjust from there.
I think you touch a good point, because what we see is that string tension is that has a tendency to rather go down than going up on average. And what we also see is like the grip sizes is going down. So like we made a big analysis globally on the grip sizes that we sell actually, and grip size 2 has completely taken over. And like if you look 2-3 years back, grip size 4 was still in existence and very strong. Now it's like nearly at the 0 point something percentage. Grip size 5 is more or less out of the game. A very interesting development.
I've even gone down on grip size, which I thought I would never, because I like
Same for me. Same for me. Yes. And I actually went from 4 to 2.
Oh wow, that's a big jump.
Because of the shape of the handle. Like I don't like the shape of the grip size 3, so I went straight to grip size 2.
That makes sense. Well, we have to wrap this up, but can you share anything exciting that's coming this year? I know you've got a lot of like top secret things going on, but if there's anything or a little like illusion,
I think people should watch out what's coming along Wimbledon. There's something very special coming with some history behind it. and maybe our listeners, they can maybe even like make a guess what it is, and if they guess right, maybe we can create a gift package or something.
Sounds good.
And then around US Open timing, US Open series, there are multiple things coming the way, like the stuff that we did in the past with limited editions, but there's also something big coming with one of our athletes actually.
All right, looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Dennis, thank you as always for joining us. We love spending time with you at BMP, and Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
And everyone, thanks for tuning in. And that's all for now. Make sure you stay tuned for all the cool things coming from HED this year. And until next time, happy hitting.